Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a riddle that's literally thousands of years old, and it's one that might just change how you see, well, everything. Okay, so let's just dive right in. The source material for this one, an ancient Buddhist sutra, picks things off with what sounds completely impossible, right? It's a philosophical puzzle that's really designed to shake up our most basic ideas about what's real. And here's the core statement, the big contradiction we have to unpack. The conditioned is not conditioned, and the unconditioned is not unconditioned. I know, it sounds like nonsense. How can that possibly be true? Well, to even start to figure this out, we've got to define our terms. The key to this entire riddle is hiding inside these two concepts. They represent two fundamental ways of categorizing, well, literally everything that exists, and maybe even what doesn't. So let's break this down a bit. Conditioned basically means anything that depends on other things to exist. It's temporary, it changes. Think of a wave in the ocean. It depends on the water, the wind, it rises and then it disappears. On the flip side, the unconditioned points to something absolute, something completely outside that whole cycle of change. And when you really stop and think about it, this means pretty much everything we deal with day to day is conditioned. The source text is super clear about this. From the phone in your hand to the thoughts running through your head right now, it's all part of this flowing, changing reality. Nothing lasts forever. But here's the twist. Just when we think we've got a handle on these definitions, the sutra basically pulls the rug out from under us. It says the very words we're using, conditioned and unconditioned, are actually part of the trap. And this is the absolute crucial point. These big ideas, they aren't the final truth. They're just tools. They're words that an enlightened teacher came up with for a very specific reason, to help us understand something that's, ultimately beyond words. It's that classic finger pointing at the moon idea, right? The words are just pointers, super useful for showing the way, for communicating. But if we get totally fixated on the finger, if we stare at the label itself, we completely miss the moon, the actual reality it's pointing toward. Now, to make this crystal clear, the text gives us this fantastic analogy. It compares this whole mind-bending process to a magician putting on a show for a crowd. Just picture this scene. Right out of the text, a magician gathers up some junk. Twigs, leaves, rocks. He does his thing, casts a spell, and bam. That pile of garbage suddenly looks like incredible treasure. Jewels, elephants, gold. A crowd gathers, totally mesmerized. But the real question is, what are they really looking at? And this is where the analogy really gets to the heart of the riddle. The meaning isn't in the magic trick itself. It's all about how the people in the audience see it. And there are two types of observers here. So first you've got what the text calls the foolish observer. This person is completely sucked in. They see the elephants, they see the gold, and they think, wow, real treasure. They mistake the flashy appearance for what's actually there, and they get attached to it. But then you have the wise observer. Now this person sees the exact same thing, the elephants, the gold, the whole show, but they aren't fooled for a second. They know it's just a clever trick made of twigs and leaves. They see both the illusion and the reality behind it, all at the same time. Okay, so let's connect the dots. How does this story about a magician solve our original riddle? Well, this whole analogy is basically the key that unlocks the entire puzzle. So it all just snaps into place, right? The teacher is the magician, and that amazing illusion, the treasure, that's not gold and jewels. It's the words conditioned and unconditioned. The foolish observer is anyone who mistakes these labels for the ultimate truth. And the wise observer, that's the person who gets that they're just useful pointers. And just like that, the riddle solves itself. This is why the conditioned is not conditioned. The word conditioned, that's the label, the illusion. It isn't the same thing as the ungraspable, always changing reality it's pointing at. A wise person uses the word, but they're never trapped by it. So what's the big takeaway here? I mean, what does this ancient philosophical lesson actually mean for us today in our busy lives? So the point isn't to just stop using words or check out from the world. It's actually the opposite. It's about being able to engage with everything more freely, more wisely. Think about how much stress comes from clinging to labels like success or failure, or the conflicts we get into defending our fixed ideas of who we are. This insight suggests that true freedom comes from realizing our concepts of good, bad, right, wrong, even me, are just temporary labels. We can use these tools without becoming their prisoners. And that's really the question this whole thing leaves us with. It's an invitation to look at our own lives and ask, what labels are we holding onto so tightly that they've started to feel like the real thing? Which illusions are we mistaking for reality? And that's a question worth chewing on.